talk us through how you decided you wanted to buy a Batmobile?
I don't know what you're talking about. That's the answer you get.
There's no follow-up. I guess.
So, who's your favorite superhero?
I don't know. I was always an X-Men guy.
They don't make that shit.
No, they don't make that ship. I don't know who my favorite one is.
The internet says it's not street legal.
Again, I don't know what you're talking about.
What's the coolest car you've ever driven? We're just gonna dance around it.
I've really only driven my cars. I wouldn't say I've driven anything crazy.
I haven't driven a Batmobile yet.
No,
Did you watch the episode?
I did not.
So, did people start hitting you up about this potential theoretical Batmobile?
No, not really.
Okay. Why does it take a year?
I don't know what you're talking about.
How funny would it be if T. Higgins wore a Batman suit to a club?
That would be pretty funny. I'd pay to see that.
Is it okay if I ask you football?
Yes, please. That'd be great.
Dallas's defense, does it remind you of Zimmer from Minnesota at all, of the style of what they do?
Yeah, they're doing their pressure packages advanced, so you got to be ready for that on third down. They got Micah Parsons. He's an unbelievable player. You got to be ready for him and not let him wreck the game. You know, they're getting their corners back healthy, so those guys are aggressive ball hawks. They want to go get the ball, so you got to be aware of them to jump routes. You know, it'll be a challenge.
Joe, did you see the Trevor Lawrence slide hit situation that happened in Jacksonville?
I did.
What's your opinion on sliding? And do you feel like there needs to be more clarity in that rule, in that situation for quarterbacks to make sure that type of stuff doesn't happen, whether it's avoiding fake slides or things like that? Do you feel like there's enough clarity in what that is in the league right now?
I think so. You know, there's times you don't want a late slide, and I think refs have done a good job of when quarterbacks do late slide, and then, you know, if you get hit, that's on you. I wouldn't say I've studied that play enough to know whether that was a late slide or not. Didn't look like it at first glance. I didn't watch it a ton, but you know, refs have come to me and said on certain ones, hey, that was too late, and that's why they didn't call it. And all we want is communication from the refs, and I think they've done a good job of that.
What's your biggest worry if you're going to slide? Do you worry about taking hits when you're trying to go down like that? Do you ever worry about that, or?
I used to, but I wouldn't say that I worry about that too much. I think that's the first time that something like that has happened in several years, and you know, they suspended him, they threw flags, they ejected him. So, you know, I think the point was made.
When you're taking off out of the pocket as a quarterback, are you even thinking about that? Because there must be so many different variables going through your head.
Well, it depends on the situation. Is it third down, I'm going to try to go get it? Is it, do I already have the first down and now I'm just trying to protect myself? Am I trying to make a play outside the structure and throw the ball? Usually when I don't feel like I have anywhere else to go, I slide and get down.
I don't remember many jump touchdown passes. Have you done many of those?
That was the first one. I don't know where it came from, but it happened. I feel like that was the only way I could get that ball off. And it's not something that I've really worked on, but you know, I did it 2 or 3 times on Sunday, so I'll have to start working at it to improve.
Can you describe that feeling when you realize you completed it to Jamar and you just did something you haven't done before?
I was just think I just said that was freaking sick. I didn't know I had that one in me.
So what did 97 say? Did Hayward say anything after?
No, he never says anything to anybody.
Since we're talking about quarterbacks taking hits, the topic of the run game and the Bengals has come up again, kind of based how your season is going. When you look around at some of the teams that are definitely headed to the playoffs, majority of them rank in the top 10 in the run game. Knowing you and the best way this offense has played is obviously with the ball in your hands and the receivers that you have, it brings up the question of, like, what does the Bengals run game need to be? Because, there's a balance of taking it out of your hands. For you, do you think your run game needs to be better than it has been in years past? Like, do you think you guys need more from that, or are you comfortable with where the scheme and the production in the run game?
I think we've been really good in spots. I think we were good on Sunday. I think we've been in some games that you can't commit to the run because of how the game is playing out, and you have to drop back and throw it. First half of the year we were really good. We fell off there for a little bit. Who did we play 2 weeks ago? Chargers. I don't think we were great in that game, but I think we were really good on Sunday in the run game. We hit some explosives. Chase was running hard. We were finding gaps. Just the way the game played out, we weren't able to commit to it. And so we've been good in spots, and we haven't been good enough in spots. So I think you'd like to see more consistency, but you can see where the production could be. And so, it's about finding the consistency in what we did on Sunday and just translating that over from game to game, play to play.
Why do you think it hasn't been consistent enough this year?
I don't know. I think, when we lost Eric, that was tough because he was our second tight end. We were using him like a fullback, and that, created some mismatches for us in the scheme. And, we lost him, and so we weren't doing as much of that. And, a lot of our really good run plays were coming off of those sets. And so I think it took us a second, and we're back to 11 personnel run game, and then Cam Grandy is filling that Eric All role, and we hit some really good 12 personnel runs on Sunday, and so it's nice to see Cam fill that role. So I think you'll see his role start to evolve a little bit this year. And I think, again, we've found ourselves in games where you can't, there's no time to run the ball, and you got to drop back and throw it based on how the opposing offense is playing.
Do you think this is the best stretch, you look at November individually, of your career, Joe, in the regular season?
That's tough to say. I think overall this year has been my best year. I think I've been play to play, better than I've ever been. I think I'm creating better than I ever have. So I'm happy with how I'm playing.
Why is that? Is that a physical thing, or is it the way you're seeing the game differently, or just experience?
I think experience. I think, my wrist is feeling good right now. That's improved throughout the season. I wasn't throwing it quite the way that I wanted to early in the year, and that's improved. And I'm starting to be able to, early in the year I didn't throw a ton on the run. I wasn't doing all my different arm angles. And as my wrist has improved, I've been able to expand that part of my game. I think I'm working on it more than I ever have throughout practice, and so I think that's translating to on-field success in that department.
Joe, Zach has already said to us a couple times this week that it feels like kind of the spectacle of Monday Night Football is a good opportunity for you guys to showcase what you're all about. At this stage in the season, at 4-8, does a Monday night game versus a 1 p.m. Sunday kickoff, does that move the meter for you guys at all?
I always like playing on primetime.
Yeah.
I like showcasing my abilities and hard work, and putting that on display, in front of the world. So it's always an exciting opportunity, and I think whether you like it or not, how you perform on primetime games matters as far as perception across the league. That's when people watch. That's when the most people pay attention, and so you have to be consistent. But I think if you perform great on primetime nights, then you start to get a little different reputation across the league.
And do you feel like, or let me ask you like this, what impression would you want to give to the viewing audience for a national TV game at this stage? What do you guys hang your hats on at this point, and what of that would you want to convey to America?
Well, I want to win, but I want to be fun to watch. I always want to be fun to watch. I want people to see my command of the offense and accuracy and playmaking ability and everything that I bring to the table. But I want people to tune into the Bengals and want to watch us, and I think people do. I take pride in the fact that we're exciting. I'm exciting to watch. That's something that I take pride in.
Is there anybody you said, geez, I want, when you were a kid, or maybe even now, I don't know, you want to make sure you watch, you want to turn on TVs, or anybody that, you wanted?
I always wanted to watch Aaron Rodgers. I was always tuning in when he was playing. Tom Brady, obviously, Peyton Manning, watch Drew Brees. Those caliber of players are usually the types of players that get the most primetime games, and so you're seeing them the most, and it's just always nice to. We've had 6 now, and so that usually means that people want to watch you. That's usually a good thing.
I guess this is kind of a two-part question. Gronk said on Julian Edelman's podcast that you sent him a text a couple of years ago about coming to play with you, and then he came up to you at the white party, and you were like, you didn't text me back.
He ghosted me.
He talked about that exchange. Looking back, I'm sure obviously, you wish he answered your text, but do you view that as, I know you're involved to some degree in free agency, we've heard the stories about you going to join the free agency dinners and things like that, but do you view that as an area of growth for you where you could see yourself being more involved in recruiting and personnel, getting guys to come play with you in Cincinnati?
I think I've done a pretty good job of that so far. I think more so knowing, the more experience that I have, the more I understand who fits into our system, who would work well with us, and less the recruiting part and more understanding the kind of guys that we want to go after in those departments.
Also, that, do you feel like Mike's been everything you thought he would be
Yeah.
in that role?
Yes, he's played really well for us this year, making a ton of plays. Understands what we were trying to do from in his role and within his routes. So I'd love to have Mike back.
What's Orlando, man? Here's a guy, Orlando, he wanted to come here, and you guys met. What has he meant, since he's been here, going through a tough time now? What has he meant?
Yeah, he's been as advertised, and he was having the best stretch of his career early this year, I would say. He was lights out. And then he's dealt with some injuries. Was fighting through it last week. And, he doesn't get enough credit for what he does in the locker room. He's a great leader. We're lucky to have him, and, hopefully get to play with him for a lot longer.
Does it mean something when he plays, when he plays on Sunday? Clearly he's not 100%, but there he is.
Yeah, he wants to be out there. He wants to be out there with the guys. He's going to do everything that he can to go out and play. And sometimes, as a player, you got to take that decision out of their hands. I've been through that before, and the fact that he wanted to be out there and give it his all says everything in the world about him.
Zach was talking about Jamar's work ethic, your work ethic, and Trey's as well, but he singled out Jamar. What is it about Jamar's work ethic that you see that maybe we don't, that stands out about him?
I mean, if we need to get a route in practice, full speed, he's not. he might say, give me a play, but he's going to go full speed, 100% game rep, so we can bank that rep for the game. And he's been that way since we were together at college. He wants to get that full speed game rep, and that's how you have to do it if you want to be great, because if you run it like the game in practice, now when you get to the game, you've already had a rep in that situation, and I know how fast he's going to run, and I can put the ball where I need to and judge his speed, because I've seen it so many times in practice that, now once we get into the game, his full speed's not different and I'm not underthrowing him. And that's just him day in and day out. And, not a lot of people are like that.
Have you ever seen anybody accelerate after catching the ball like he does?
No, he's great.
You said Sunday after the Pittsburgh game, Joe, that the cornerstones will be remembered how you handle this adversity this season. How do you hope the leaders like yourself handle this adversity you're facing right now as a team?
That we kept fighting. I'm going to keep giving it everything that I have. There's still a lot to play for. The playoffs are probably out of reach, but, personally, and I know everybody in the locker room feels the same way, these are valuable reps to go and prove yourself, prove how hard you've worked all off season, prove that you can be a guy that can be counted on going forward. And there's individual awards up for grabs. There's a lot of things that are still there to seize, and so I'm excited about those opportunities.
Joe, a comeback player of the year for you be meaningful?
Very much so. I'm not sure there's ever been a 2-time comeback player of the year. It's not exactly an award that people want to be up for, but I found myself in that position, and so that one would mean a lot to me.
What do you think you would have said, 8 months ago? I'd say you'd be playing at this level that you're playing at right now.
I expect to. Whether you're coming back from injury or whether you're not, I always expect to play at the peak of my abilities and be productive and give ourselves a chance to win. I think I've done that. I didn't play as great as I wanted to early on, but it's kind of how it usually goes. I get better as the season goes, and I think I'm playing my best ball right now.
What's the smartest thing you ever saw Jeremiah do on the field?
I just think his progression as a receiver this year, moving from being basically an outside receiver for his entire career to all the motions, all the pre-snap movement, putting him in the slot, putting him in different positions, and running different routes. And that requires a nuance that in the slot that he probably had never done before, and he really has excelled at it, continued to get better and better, reading the coverages, finding the spots to sit down, and just watching his progression as a receiver this year has been impressive.
You had said you didn't know how your wrist would react to the cold. Did you have any issues with that, or
No,
is there
it was
anything
great.
different you're having to do? How that?
No, I felt great.
Would you take pride in Jamar winning the Triple Crown?
Hell yeah, absolutely. I think he's second in receptions now. He's like 6 or 7.
Tied for second.
Yeah. So hopefully we can get him that.
Joe, who are the cornerstones of this organization? Talk about the cornerstones. Who, in your mind right now, who are those people?
I think we'll find out over the next 5 weeks. I don't think that I have an answer for you right now, but I think over the next 5 weeks we'll say a lot.
Is that concerning that at this point in the season you don't know who they are?
I think the NFL is what have you done for me lately league, and it doesn't matter what you did last year. It matters what you're doing now. And some guys have played great, others haven't. And the guys that watch tape every day upstairs know that better than I do. Outside of the offense, which is my realm. But I think the next 5 weeks will say a lot.
What is it like for you with Hard Knocks being here and extra guys being mic'd up, cameras behind closed doors in the meeting rooms? What is it like for you knowing that there is that extra level of access to the outside world right now?
I'm just trying to ignore it as much as I can, and I'm not changing anything about how I act or my process or what the things that I